All right, third graders, believe it or not, we are at the final lesson for Module 3. So lesson 21 here. And today we are going to use all the strategies that we've learned throughout the module, but especially those ones we were working on recently, dealing with tens, and we're going to apply those to word problems. So we've had a lesson similar to this here recently, but now we get to apply all the strategies we've learned in the last 2 or 3 lessons involving those tens, like I said. I have 4 problems for you. I basically took them straight out of the homework, which obviously you don't have because we're learning at home right now. So I changed the names, but otherwise they're straight from there. So they'll be really similar to what you're going to do on your problem set and your exit ticket. Let's take a look. All right, the first one says, there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So how many minutes are there in 6 hours and 15 minutes? So here's how I would approach a problem like that. I would say, I would set aside the 15 minutes first, right? I would say I'm just gonna write over here, 15 minutes. And I'm gonna add that to whatever I get. Oops, Mr. Burnell can't spell today. There we go, 15 minutes. I'm just setting that aside because I'm not gonna multiply that when I do my 60 times 6 here in a minute. So 1 hour equals 60 minutes. So 6 hours equals M. Oops, I don't need a question mark there because we have a variable. I can do 6 hours times 60 minutes. So 6 hours, and every hour has 60 minutes. So the reason we can do this is we have a number of groups, right? The 6, that's the number of hours, the number of groups. And all the groups are equal size, the size of the group being 60 minutes. So we can multiply them together. 6 times 60, we can break this into a 6 times 10. So 60 is made up of 6 times 10, or that's one way to break it apart. And we can move our parentheses just like we've been doing the last couple lessons and do 6 times 6 first to get 36 times 10 equals 360. So my answer there is 360, but I'm not done yet because that just shows me 6 hours. Remember, I have that additional 15 minutes up there. So now I have to say I'll do this in a different color to show that this is my final answer. 360 plus 15 equals 375 minutes total. So the key there was taking away that minutes in the beginning, doing the multiplication, and then adding the minutes back in. Don't try to multiply like with the 15 involved. All right, that won't work. That will really confuse you. So separate the minutes away, multiply the hours, right? The number of hours times minutes per hour, and then add the 15 minutes back in. The reason we can't do the 15 minutes in there originally is because it's not an equal size group. So we have 6 hours that each have 60 minutes, and then that 7th hour only has 15 minutes out of the 60, and that's not an equal size group, so we can't include that in the multiplication. So we set it aside for a minute, and then we add it back in at the end. All right, let's move on to the next one. It says Mr. Burnell buys 7 boxes of snacks. In each box, there are 12 packets of fruit snacks and 18 packets of cashews. How many snack packets does he buy? Let's change that. Does he buy altogether? All right, so couple of ways of going about this. Some easy, some much more difficult. Your instinct might be to be like 7 times 12 and plus 7 times 18. That's going to be a lot of work. It's doable. We have the strategies to do that, right? You could I'm not even going to how you could do it. We have the tools to do it, but I don't want to confuse you. So I'm going to say, let's not do that strategy and let's do this instead. Let's add the 12 and the 18 together and see what we get. Anytime you get a problem like this, add those things together and see if it comes out to like something that adds up to a 10, a multiple of 10. So 12 plus 18, 8 plus 2 is 10, and then you have 3 10s, so you have 30. Well, 30 is an easy number to work with. It's a multiple of 10. So I have 7 boxes times 30 snacks in each. 30 total snacks in each box. That's what I'm trying to solve, right? equals S. So I can do this multiplication relatively easily. I can do 7 times 30. And that 30 is really a 3 times a 10. We can think of it that way because it's just like we had parentheses around that, and now we're undoing them as we multiply by 7. And we're going to put the parentheses around the 7 and the 3 and do that multiplication first. The associative property of multiplication tells us we can do that. Anytime we're just multiplying, we can do it in any order, and the product will be the same. So I have 7 times 3 is 21, times 10 equals 210, right? We take the 21 and we stick a 0 on the back of it, basically, to get 210. So S equals 210 snacks. So a lot of snacks. Although at the rate my kids are eating them recently, that wouldn't last all that long. All right. Again, this way that I put an X through up here, you can technically do it that way. We have the tools to do it. I don't recommend it. It would take you a lot of time and effort and energy. This way that I drew out for you, that I modeled for you, that way is going to be much more efficient, and it's going to use all the skills that we've been using recently. So whenever you're doing work like this, think about like, what have we been working on in class recently? And the solution, the approach you should take is going to most of the time be related to what we've been doing most recently in class. All right. Andrew is selling calendars for a fundraiser. Each calendar costs $9. He sells 16 calendars to his family members and 14 calendars to people in his neighborhood. Okay. Up until there, I'm going to highlight that part. Let's stop reading there for just a minute, and I'm going to highlight it or put a box around it, right? All of that stuff is what we just did. It's a very similar approach to what we just did on the last problem, and we're going to use that approach again. Now, the second part of the problem says his goal was to earn $300. Did he reach his goal? So I'll put this in a different color. His goal is to earn $300. Did he reach his goal? So that's what we need to eventually answer, but we can't do that part until we do the first part. We have to do step 1 first. So step 1 is $9. Whoops, wrong writing tool. $9 times all the calendars he sells. Now again, you could do 9 times 16 plus 9 times 14. You could do that. Not the strategy I recommend. I would say add the 16 plus 14 first and see what you get. 6 plus 4 is 10. Then you have 3 10s again, so you have 30. So again, we have 30, which is a multiple of 10. Anytime we have a multiple of 10, we want to use that in our favor. That gives us a big advantage. It allows us to use some strategies that make our life easier as mathematicians. So let's say he has 9 times 30 total calendars. So every calendar costs $9, and he sold a total of 30 of them. Doesn't matter which ones he sold to his family and which ones he sold to people in the community. All that matters is he sold 30 of them because they all cost the same amount. Like, again, number of groups is 9, size of the group is 30. 9 times 30. Well, same strategy as last time. The 30 is really a 3 times a 10. And we multiply that by 9. We can shift our parentheses off of the 3 times a 10 onto the 9 times the 3 to get a 27. 27 times 10 equals 270. But then you need to think, what does that 270 represent? Well, it represents money. It represents dollars. He sold 30 calendars for $9 each. He made $270. So this is all step 1. Step 1. Step 2 here. Let's draw a line on my screen. Step 2 is, did he make his goal? Did he earn $300? Well, that one, you can just look at these numbers and figure it out. No, he didn't. He wanted 300, made 270. Now, if you want to have a real complete answer, you could do the subtraction here and find out that he did 0, 2, 10, 30, $30. Again, many of you probably just knew that, but I was modeling how to do the the subtraction with regrouping there. So he is missing $30, or he missed his goal by $30. A really complete answer would have that part. You could correctly answer this question by saying he did not earn his goal because he did not get $300. He had less than $300. If you want to be more exact, you could explain exactly how much less he has or how much more he would need to do to reach his goal. And last problem for today. Again, none of this is really new learning. It's using strategies that we've been working on. We're just putting them in word problems now. So you guys have done a fantastic job using these strategies in isolation. Today, we're just taking these strategies and we're putting them into word problems. All right, this is a very similar problem to one we just had, or two that we just had actually. A bookstore sells books for $5 each. If they sell 33 science books and 57 history books, how much money will they make? And again, we have a typo in there. Let's correct that. All right. So this one is pretty straightforward. We have every book costing $5, and we have, let's find out how many total books we have. We have 57 plus 33. 7 plus 3 is 10. Carry the 1. 5 plus 3 is 8, plus 1 more is 9. So 90 books altogether. Well, if I have $5 each times 90 books, that's going to give me my total amount, my, we'll call it M again for money. 90 is composed of a 9 times 10. That's one way to think of it. And we're going to multiply all of that by 5. I'm going to shift my parentheses around the 9 times, to the 9 times 5. 9 times 5 is 45. And again, we're still multiplying that by 10. 45 times 10 is 450, and the answer is going to be in dollars. So not only do you have to get the number correct, but we're back to a lot of what we did in Module 2, where we're needing to make sure we have units on things as well. So $450, I could say M equals $450. And then again, a really complete answer would then have a sentence saying the bookstore makes $450 selling science and history books. All right, guys, you have done a fantastic job with this strategy that we've been using the last couple of days, and I am sure that you're going to have some success doing it in word problems too. Make sure you read those word problems a couple of times, understand what's being asked to you, and look for ways to use the strategies that we've been doing recently. Again, I showed in the first couple of problems, there are other ways to problem solve, but if you can use the strategies that we've been using in class most recently, you're going to have you're probably going to find it easier, and you're probably going to be more successful because those strategies sort of streamline the process. They make it a little bit easier for you. And that's what we're looking for. We want to be efficient problem solvers. We want to do things in a way that reduces the number of steps we have to take, and in a way that allows us to eliminate the number of possible errors that we make along the way. So use that associative property, breaking apart multiples of 10 and then reorganizing and multiplying the other two factors first, and then finally multiplying by the 10 at the end. That's the best way to go in these sort of problems. And as a heads up, like all of these problems are going to involve something like that. So a little tip there is that you can use that strategy on all of these sort of problems. All right, guys, you have done a wonderful job throughout the entirety of Module 3. I'm really proud of you, and you've especially worked hard here when you've been at home. I know math's been different here in the last week or so, 2 weeks, but I appreciate all the hard work that you've been putting in, and I can't wait to see you guys in person again real soon.